Hot single motorcycles in your area. Car drivers hate him. Click here to learn how to get fun, fast, eco-friendly transportation with this one easy trick. Yep, we're at it again. On today's episode of Yami Noob, we're gonna have a little fun making some jabs at car guys, but not the silly smack talking like, yo, if your Project Miata was any slower, I could probably outpace it on my pedal bike, but more along the lines of talking about how cars are a consequence of an outdated transportation system that indentures individuals into the cyclical transference of debt while big petroleum reaps the rewards. I kid. Many of us need to own cars. You may have a big family, live in an area prone to inclement weather, or have lots of junk you have to haul around, but I think overall, a lot of good could be had from having more motorcycles on the road, both for the individual and the community as a whole. So let's dig in a little bit deeper and prove to the world once and for all that motorcycles are indeed better than cars. Today's video is proudly supported by our store shop.yaminoob.co. I will tell you more about that later in the video. As always, I ask that if you like these types of videos, take a minute to hit subscribe and that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. We post 9 videos a week, baby. Right off the bat, we can all agree on the fact that motorcycles are universally less expensive to own than cars. Sure, there will be exceptions like the purchase of a brand new Ducati Panigale V4S versus a base model Kia Soul, but pound for pound, a motorcycle will always be cheaper than a car when considering the performance you get in return. As it stands in 2022, the average new car purchase price in the US is $48,301. Wow, that's actually really high. And the average cost for a new motorcycle is right around $10,000. Harley's probably skewing those numbers a little bit. And to get a car that is near as fast or sporty as a decent motorcycle, you will be spending more than $48,000. Unless you want to end up with a clapped out $5,000 crap box with a blown turbo and a decade's worth of vape juice soaked into the interior. But that still won't be much faster than a motorcycle since it will be living on the back of a flatbed trailer. Since motorcycles cost less, they are typically cheaper to insure. And I don't want to hear about it in the comments like, oh, my old body style Silverado only cost $1 per month to insure. I'm talking about the average cost for modern vehicles. In the US, the average cost for a year-long car insurance policy is $1,553 compared to just $519 to insure a motorcycle. A motorcycle will cost less to fuel as well. A bike usually gets around twice the miles per gallon that a car does. Data shows 24 miles per gallon is the average for a car, probably some SUVs and trucks skewing that a little bit, versus 44 for a motorcycle. If you aren't a squid and just want cheap and fun transportation, plenty of smaller motorcycles can get way better than 44 miles to the gallon. If you were masochistic enough to find yourself in possession of a cursed Gixxer 250, you could expect to get around 76 miles to the gallon. Hell, some scooters and Groms get upwards of 100 miles to the gallon. Not even a Honda Insight can get that much. You wouldn't experience much in the way of high-speed thrills, but you'd get some wicked fuel efficiency. Motorcycles are also easier to work on and as a result cheaper to maintain. Almost every rider I know changes his or her own oil in their bike. Meanwhile, the only people who change the oil in the car themselves are the one that have to run 20 W50 in their eBay turbo crap boxes because they've got such bad engine wear, and no quick oil change service station stocks anything higher than 30 weight. Changing the oil in your car isn't fundamentally harder than changing it on a motorcycle, it's just way more inconvenient. You gotta jack up the car, crawl under the ground underneath it, you gotta drop the drain plug in the old oil and bust your knuckles trying to get the filter off. It's just a total pain. If you're driving a newer car, you can't get a basic oil change at the dealership for less than $100 and probably under $70 at a local mechanic. Countless other maintenance items are easier for a DIYer to accomplish on a motorcycle too. They use less fluids and are easier to flush and replace when necessary. Have you ever bled the brakes on your car? Spark plugs? Hell, changing the headlight bulbs in certain cars require you to go through the wheel well. What a pain in the butt. But all of these are pretty painless experiences on a motorcycle. Usually the biggest annoyance is removing the fairings to do certain maintenance items, but I'd rather remove a set of fairings every once in a while than pull a car engine to refill the windshield washer fluid, which seems to be the direction car engineers are going with their engine bay designs. If you do your own motorcycle maintenance, you should check out our store at shop.yaminoob.co. We've been putting a ton of energy into building it out, and our inventory grows every week. We have riding gear like helmets, boots, and jackets for every riding style, plus the necessary resources to make sure you're sized up and fitted accordingly. If you're looking for parts, we have the year, make, and model feature to help you find items to proper fitment for work with your bike. You'll find tires, chains, oil, and other maintenance items to make sure your T-clocks check out every time you ride. The shop is an extension of our community, so not only do members at yaminoob.co get 10% off their orders, each dollar you spend gets you one entry to win one of our giveaway motorcycles. Head over to shop.yaminoob.co and check it out. Now back to the video. A motorcycle might not get you the social clout you so desperately want from the Elon Musk simps in your NFT club, but if you're genuinely concerned about the environmental ramifications of your transportation, maybe consider a motorcycle. Even with less restrictive exhaust systems, motorcycles produce significantly less CO2 than cars. Cars are bigger and have larger engines to move them down the road, so even the most powerful superbike will still have a fraction of the carbon footprint of a car. As I already mentioned, motorcycles are typically more fuel efficient as well. They need less oil and other chemicals to run and utilize significantly fewer raw materials in their manufacturing than a full-size car does. As an example, the average car weighs like 3,500 pounds and a normal motorcycle weighs between 400 to 500 pounds. It's just less materials to make it. This information is all pretty obvious, but also probably intentionally ignored by car sympathizers. But something you may not have considered is the physical effects cars and motorcycles have on their environments. For instance, more motorcycles on the road in place of cars would cause significantly less wear and tear on the roads themselves. A poor innocent road can only take the repeated spankings of dozens of F-150s daily for so long before it begins to fall into shambles. More motorcycles would also greatly reduce traffic congestions. Studies show that if even 10% of our cars on the road were replaced by bikes, the traffic congestion would decrease by 40%. Wouldn't that be nice, huh? No more sitting in a traffic jam on your way to the plasma center to get that extra $75 per month to put towards the cost of the cage that you drive. Motorcycles don't just take up less space on the road, they take up less space everywhere, including a garage. Do you know what that means? More bikes, baby. It is not unreasonable to be able to fit like 6 bikes very comfortably into a one-car garage. Have you ever tried to fit 6 cars into a one-car garage? No, that's why it's called a one-car garage. If you're a die-hard motorcyclist that not only commutes on 2 wheels but rides for pleasures, you likely have multiple bikes that serve specific purposes. Maybe you've got a neo-retro bike to commute on, or maybe a scooter, a nearly dead Ninja 400 as a track toy, an ADV bike for weekend trips to the cabin with the boys, and a couple Groms for terrorizing the town during your mini bike group rides. You can easily accommodate that many motorcycles within a normal-sized garage, all while still having enough room to perform maintenance and store all the necessary tools. If you're a car guy and want to have that many different cars for different purposes, you're going to need a massive garage, live in the boonies, or have a relaxed HOA that doesn't object to having multiple barely running project cars leaking oil out into your yard. It is just far more impractical to own multiple cars with how much space they take up. If you live in a larger city, renting a parking space for one car might even cost a couple $100 a month. Many downtown areas have designated motorcycle parking to encourage more people to ride motorcycle and free up some congestion. As I mentioned before, it is a lot easier to do your own motorcycle maintenance, and the smaller size of a bike is a contributing factor in that. Working on a car requires quite a bit more space, and without a lift, will have you working in some awkward positions, either on the ground underneath the car, or you hope your Harbor Freight freight jack stands don't buckle and cause the car to collapse on top of you, or bend over in all sorts of uncomfortable positions, stripping bolts in the engine bay. A motorcycle, on the other hand, can essentially be taken down to the frame with hand tools while leisurely sitting on a lawn chair. A motorcycle lift is a nice luxury for a serious bike builder, but the average DIYer can do 90% of projects with bike just on a paddock stand. Lastly, motorcycles are just far more fun. They're fast and lightweight and nimble, and requires a lot less space on the road for motorcycles to enjoy some spirited riding than a car would. And even slower motorcycles are by comparison more fun than a slow car. An R3 or a Ninja 400 can still leave you smiling and exhilarated in a way that an average commuter car just won't. Manual transmissions are becoming less and less common in cars, so the truly analog car driving experience is becoming a bit of a novelty. And it's hard to argue that clicking up through gears on DCT paddle shifters is as engaging as an experience of having both hands and feet operating simultaneously on a motorcycle while you lean back and forth on some twisty roads. And again, I know some cars are fun, I've driven plenty of fun cars, but in a dollars and cents comparison, for the same price, what car can get you is as fun and fast and reliable as a $10,000 motorcycle? Exactly. There is none. And from a hobbyist or enthusiast perspective, motorcycling is just more versatile. You have street bikes, dual sport bikes, track day bikes, motocross bikes, ADV bikes, cruisers, you name it. And as long as they're still plated and street legal, you can ride them daily without much hassle. It is hard for a car to be that versatile while still being suitable as a daily driver. And any car that is suitable for track day riding, drifting, or off-roading will probably be pretty miserable for daily use. It is a lot easier to find a motorcycle that is capable of different styles of riding the car can do similarly. To be honest, as a final point in this video, from an environmental perspective, most people should just be cycling. Most trips don't really take that much time or that much distance. Cycling has zero CO2 emissions. It's great for your heart, good for the exercise, good for the environment. If we built more cities around people and bicycles, we'd all have a better time. I'm really sick of driving to strip malls to get anything I need done and would really prefer to live in a walkable place. So I love to imagine a future where there's more pedestrians, bicycles, and motorcycles by extension as well. And honestly, let's start getting away from our car dependence. It's just not great. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you like this video, please take a minute to subscribe. If you like what we do here and want to support the channel directly, head over to yamanoob.co and consider signing up for a community membership. Members get access to our Discord server, exclusive content, and a bunch of live streams and other cool perks. I'll see you on the next video. Fact: Richard Hatch won $1 million after winning the first season of Survivor. However, he failed to declare his winnings on his taxes, and as a result, he served 4 years in prison. Goodbye.